good news, we've completed sandblasting this end of the chassis.
It's been a tough few weeks down here at the Old Rope Salvage workshop. After the huge job of dismantling the Bedford chassis and lifting out the engine.
1, 2, 3.
Our first task was to get the frame cleaned up and ready for paint. Well, it has been an absolute monster of a job sandblasting this chassis frame back to bare metal. Last time you saw us, there was a certain amount of despair at what seemed like an almost unsurmountable task.
Oh, I love it so much.
With the job taking weeks and weeks longer than we had initially, endearingly anticipated. Sandblasting, priming and painting it, hopefully all this week. Oh bless us, we were such innocents. But this week we're doubling down in our efforts to get it cleaned up and into paint before the weather turns. Will we make it? Let's find out, shall we?
Yeah, the plan today, being Monday morning, is, well, I think we're going to sweep up in here a bit, bag up the sand, sieve it out. We're going to lift the frame up onto our little trolley thing, get it prepared for painting it. I think once it's on the trolley, we might go over this one last go with the sandblaster, just to sort of go over anywhere where it's been sitting for now days. And, you know, any kind of flash rusting, you know, it's going a little bit brown in places, just to sort of wipe that off, hopefully quite quickly. And hopefully get it in primer today.
If we manage to do that, then tomorrow we'll be able to get it into paint. And then once we've got it sitting in paint at this end, we're going to maybe set up some stuff to start doing some plating again on the nuts and bolts. So
yeah, you want a break from sandblasting.
I might busy myself doing some plating if that's the case, while Tim then turns this thing around and does the other end. So we might have a little bit more going on in this video, hopefully this week.
It's a bit of a tricky one though at the moment, because we have this sort of window within the paint that if we put the primer on, we have a few days where we don't have to sand it because it chemically bonds with the next layer that goes over it. But the weather is looking quite dodgy, so once we get the primer on, if we manage to get that today, we have only a few days that we have the possibility of getting the top coat on. Ideally, we'd like to do that the day after, like tomorrow. But if the weather is like it's forecast, as ever, we are at the mercy of the Cornish weather.
I just want to say there is no way in hell that I am going to then hand sand all the primer down on this thing. It's like we will get this into the top coat without having to sand the primer. Come hell or high water, we will be doing that.
It doesn't look a great deal, the chassis, but it's a bigger area than it first appears. There's a lot to one of these. Also, there's a little mouse keeps running around this. I come here in the morning, there's little tiny footprints across the sand.
Imagine it's like a little Disney film in here at night, all the little creatures come out. Wouldn't it be great if it was like the Elves and the Shoemaker and all the little mice came out and sandblasted with little tiny sandblasters?
I should leave little bits of sandpaper for them just to sort of like rub it down for us. So yeah, I think we've got a bit of a busy day. Hopefully the sandblasting won't take too long and the weather stays okay.
I think we'll be okay. With the summer already in retreat, we know that once again we are racing against the weather, but this year we have resigned ourselves to ploughing on regardless, and despite the rising costs, we will do what we can to keep temperatures inside our spray tent up enough to continue painting the last of the parts which still need to be painted. In the meantime, we are having much fun figuring out ways to manoeuvre this beast of a chassis around the workshop, so we can get to all the crevices which are harbouring the years of rust build-up. But with our pulley system working like a charm, and Tim's rolling frame really earning its keep, we have so far been able to get to everything we need to get to without too much trouble.
So we're going to try and close the tent up best we can and go over it once more with the sandblaster to all the bits we haven't been able to get to, make sure it's as clean as we can at this point now, and then still try to clean the tent up and then still try and get the primer on it today. That's the goal, is to get primer on it. And then once this is painted, we'll move the trolley onto where it's been painted and turn it around and work on the other end. So it's still good. I think we can manage this. The third man.
So while Tim's in there sandblasting again, I thought I'd get on and mix up some of the primer. After our video last week, I just wanted to say thank you to everybody who commented and left a message for us, just words of encouragement that you gave us, because we were having a bit of a rubbish time getting this chassis sorted. And just to reassure you as well that we're not going to give up, but we feel that it's really important to keep it real and to just record the difficult times as well as the good times, because I feel like if you don't acknowledge the bad times, then you can't really appreciate the good times either. And who doesn't love a story of triumph over adversity? I mean, that's what stories are all about, isn't it? Hopefully as we go there'll be many celebrations as well as the sobbing, hopefully more of one than the other. But rest assured, we will do everything it takes to keep going, and we will get there with a little bit of encouragement from you guys. So thank you. With 2/3 of the chassis finally sandblasted down to the bare metal, we got the tent cleaned up and the frame degreased, ready for the high build primer. We elected to use 2 coats of high build primer followed by the top coat, and although the main aim here is protection and longevity rather than the perfect cosmetic finish we gave the cab and the panels, we still wanted it to look good. So we did a small amount of bodywork between coats as well as a light sanding. It has been, it still is being, a really tough job, possibly taking its toll on our sanity. Has it been worth it? We're still not sure, but it looks pretty nice, has cost us nothing except our time and a few aching limbs, and more importantly, it was finally time to get back to ticking off some of our well-earned achievements. So the frame, which has been up here waiting for a tick for a really long time. So, doing it in 2 halves, 1 and 2. We've scraped both ends, we've grinded both ends, we've sandblasted one end, we've primed one end. Tomorrow, hopefully, we will paint one end, and then we've just got 2 ends. Second end, other end, end number 2. I don't know, it all sounds a bit wrong.
We just got hit by a massive, I don't know, a flash storm or something. The rain came over, the loudest I've ever heard it here. Massive bolt of lightning and thunder which shook the place. Absolutely, like, mad. And then for like, I don't know, 10 minutes it just chucked it down. Water was coming in through every orifice, the drains are backed up. The walls are still, you know, water all over them. And all I'm thinking is, it's a good job it didn't happen yesterday when it was still in bare metal and we hadn't got the primer on it. At least, you know, what we're doing at the moment isn't disturbed too much, and obviously, well, yeah, we're all right. But that was pretty mad for a little while.
Oh, rain on me, you stormy skies, wash my sins away. Let the thunder roll, let the lightning strike, until I'm clean again. Oh, moon shine bright behind the clouds, but don't you show your face till I'm clean by and by, and I'm free from earthly trials, till I'm new again after the rain.
It took Tim literally hours to paint in and around all those old bolt holes. Another necessary evil, as we won't be using most of them. Never underestimate the amount of work involved in restoring a chassis, particularly one of this size. It doesn't look much, but it actually is a lot of surface area to cover, and once you start painting, you can't really stop until it's finished. But once finished, it looked great. No time to relax though. Oh no, not in this workshop, because guess what? Now we have to figure out how to turn the whole thing around so we can get started on the second half.
This place doesn't look big enough to get this around, but let's see what happens. I'm going to drive over there and start a turn and see what happens. Are the brakes on still?
Yeah.
Can you take the brakes off? You have the handbrake on.
Jesus said he never spoke to me, but I thank the sky above for pouring down her holy love to save a wretch like me. Oh, after the rain, when the clouds roll away, when my skin is soaked through with water, when the night won't turn to day, when the pain is awful great, I'll be new again after the rain.
The beginning of that didn't go very smoothly. It was always really difficult because you couldn't plan exactly where it was going to fit. It was a bit of a up and down, and we just had to move a few things, and we got it round. And now it is backwards, or the right way round in the tent, with the bit we need to clean up in the tent. It's on the trolley, there's nothing supporting the front of it because there's weights at the back. It's brilliant!
So we're not just all kind of focusing on the chassis all the time. I've started doing some zinc plating for all the nuts and bolts, of which there are many of them, so I'm keeping a tally just to see how many of these things I actually do. So that gives me a really easy, nice job to do, because I really like doing the zinc plating, while poor old Tim is going to be stuck over there later today doing loads of grinding and on the chassis. So I've started doing some, we're doing them all in gold for a little bit of bling. These are the ones that I've done already. So I'm all set up, I've got my cleaning stuff, I've got all my chemicals, I've got my hangings. So it looks like I've probably got about 3 months worth of zinc plating to do. So we covered zinc plating in depth in one of our previous videos, so I'll just pop a link up there in the right hand corner for you now. It's actually quite a simple process, if a little boring at times, but the results are instantaneous and gratifying, so we would highly recommend giving it a go yourself if, you know, you just happen to be in the business of restoring a massive old fire truck. I'm in here for about 20-30 minutes now, so I can't plate all of them at the same time, so I'm just doing them in quite small batches. So I'm going to start by getting a few things out, so give them a spray down, give them a rinse, and then each lot goes in the acid pickle for about a minute or so. Come back in a minute. So I get a few of these hung over the copper strip for the contact. So they're all on the copper wires. So we attach the battery, and what we need to do is give it 0.1 amp per square inch, so it's a little bit of a guesstimation here, which I'm not actually that brilliant at, and I think if you have it on too high, it can burn the metal, or it just kind of goes a really dull grey, and I think I've been maybe doing that a little bit, so I'm gonna try and underestimate it if anything now. It's meant to go quite bright after a couple of minutes of plating. I'm going to put that on at about 0.15 amps and see how that goes. So we've got the clip, and hopefully I'll turn that up. Well, I mean, by 0.15 I actually meant 1.5, but you get what I mean. And hopefully that will just slowly start plating. So these have had about 20 minutes, maybe just a little bit more now. We have fiddled about with the current on it because I thought I was overplating it or having it too high a current, and Tim thinks that I was underplating it. So it looks like Tim was possibly right and I was actually underplating it. So they're looking pretty good now, so I'm going to turn it off and do the magic bit now, which is making them turn gold. I'll turn that off, I'll get the middle one out, which has got the 3 on it here. So as you can see, those have actually gone nice and silvery shiny, which is kind of what we're after, whereas some of the ones I was doing were going a little bit dull. So these need a really good rinse, and that is really to get all the brightener off of it. If you leave too much of the brightener on it, that's when you get all the rainbow effects. Now I normally do this for about 3 minutes or so, so come back in. So now we want to get them into the passivate. We've actually got gold and silver, but we've been doing everything gold for this one. You're meant to put it in for about 10 to 40 seconds. We were putting them in for like 20 seconds, but I felt that was a little bit kind of insipid. So I've been putting them in for more like 30, and that seems to be giving a good coverage. So I'm going to do that now with a stopwatch. So we want to gently swoosh them around in the passivate, so it just, without touching anything, so it just picks up all the gold all over all the surfaces. So we go clockwise, anti-clockwise. We can do figure of 8. And it's all very, very gentle and very soothing. Keep going for 30 seconds. And then we go into the water. There we go.
I thought you were describing how I make a cup of tea then.
And then get them dried off. And then when you've got them dried off, you just hang them up for about 24 hours and let them harden off, and they look marvellous. And we just need to do that another couple of thousand times and we'll be done. So that's it for this video, I think. So in our last video where we ended, we said we might have it done, we might not have it done. Well, we've got half of it done, so there you go.
Yeah, I'm really happy with how this has gone. The results we've got out of it are brilliant. I don't know what we were looking for. We weren't trying to make it like a show-worthy, just to protect it for years to come and, you know, make sure there's no more rust in it. And yeah, this is going to be a great basis for bolting all our parts back onto. So
yeah, I think we're feeling maybe just a little bit more positive than we were maybe at the end of our last video, because we feel like we've kind of really broke the back of this now, and because I have started doing like the zinc plating of all the bolts, it's like mentally you sort of feel like you've moved beyond being stuck with this, so it's feeling pretty okay.
And unlike the cab where we plated a lot of parts and we prepared a lot of parts, but we weren't getting that satisfaction of bolting them on, we're going to try and make sure with this that we were able to do that. So some of the parts you've already plated are already bolted on there. You know, the bolts are going back in. Yeah, so that's quite good. And as we've said before, what our aim at the moment is to do is to get everything prepped up and all the stuff that needs painting. So there's quite a few of our bigger parts that we can't get in the powder coat oven or can't be plated, that those bigger parts that we need to paint, we're trying to focus on those at the moment and use up the last of the good weather that we might have.
But we will plough on regardless, but as we said, we'll put like a diesel heater in here if we have to keep the temperature up if we get stuck with the cold weather coming in, because we have to do this now. So I think from this point onwards, it's going to start really kind of getting rebuilt and taking shape. So, wow, should be all right.
Yeah, it's getting there. Yeah, next week I think I'm going to be, well, next week is your birthday.
Oh, mixed blessings, mixed blessings.
Got to take time off. And that is the other thing as well. It may look like we are a bit slow, but the life gets in the way as well. There are many things that slow you down, but we're getting on it as fast as we can and as good as we can.
Well, I guess that's it.
Yeah,
really. Do you have anything else you want to say?
No, let's get back back in there and plating.
Yeah, I've got to get back to my plating. Tim's got to get on with the other end of this.
Yeah.
So just want to say, thanks loads for watching. Thanks for all your support, particularly comments in the last video. Much appreciated.
Thank you very much.
And we'll see you again hopefully in a couple of weeks. Hopefully we will by then have this all finished and hopefully be moving on to exciting times.
Exciting times.
I always say that, don't I?
It's going to be so exciting.
Oh yeah.
It's good.
Should we go then?
This was a big old job. Don't underestimate the chassis. The frames, there's a lot to one of these.
Don't do it.
No, I say, it took me 2.5 hours to paint the black paint on this. That's ridiculous. Bye! See you next time!
Oh, after the rain, when the clouds roll away, when my skin is soaked through with soft grade. I'll be new again after